We have 12 subscribers, I'll have you know, on YouTube.
My wife just came in and yelled, "Yay, the fire's going."
We have 12 subscribers, I'll have you know, on YouTube.
Okay.
Ms. Ora May, long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. Every time I look to see you, he think about you. You know, we live on the street with Marlene.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We not on, oh, okay. She's
Hello.
Who is this?
That's Tony.
Hello.
Hi, RMA.
Hi, how you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
What's up, buddy?
Hello.
How are you?
Let's see.
Hanging in there.
Do you want to talk about that holiday thing before or after the meeting?
We can talk about it during the meeting.
During the meeting?
That way they can decide.
Goodness. You better shake mine.
This shows those streets. And I wouldn't.
Oh, gotcha. This is signature for the agenda today. It's the same one that I've delivered to you. And this was the minutes from last week. There it goes. I have to have them for my records. I mean, if you want to read them, that's fine. Right?
So much work.
You pretty much call the meeting to order and we'll just go through the projects one by one and talk about them. See what y'all think about the projects and rank them. Should be pretty easy and laid back.
I want to be sure I wasn't having that on.
No, not at all. We'll make sure that doesn't happen. We got your back.
Oh, Judy.
Can't see very well.
Yes. Hi, how you doing this morning?
Or.
Or, yes.
Tony and Jeff are online. They're zooming. I guess is what you call it.
Hello.
They said hi to you. Judy.
Is Brenda coming?
Yes, ma'am. Said she was.
It's not.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Mike,
How you feeling?
feeling better. I get results tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully.
We're gonna wait on Brenda. You wanna wait?
We gotta have one more, right? I don't know how many are on.
We have 4 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Four?
Oh, thank you.
You've got 3.
Yes, it's helped a lot. I was
Jeff or and
I
driving
haven't seen
home.
things to.
Oh, I do too. Oh, then I went down Steeple Ridge. I didn't do the rest of them.
give it just another minute or so. See if Richard or Brenda show up.
Oh, yeah, Richard and Brenda.
I think she's calling Richard right now. Brenda said she would be here right at 6 o'clock.
She's probably leaving from you.
Hey, Craig,
Yes, sir.
you watching your screen?
Yes, sir.
My dog's tired.
Looks about how I feel right now.
Is that a blue healer?
He's been doing quite a bit of running today.
Is that a healer, Tony? Blue healer?
Yes. And sassier than any of my kids.
Yeah.
He hears Lori riding around on the four-wheeler, and he's like, ears just perked up. He loves riding on the four-wheeler.
Oh,
Who is Michael?
Michael Nicoletti, he's our Director of Economic Development.
People, I need to, since this COVID stuff's over, I need to come up there and spend a day or so. I'm ready for it to be over.
Hey, Miss Brenda. How are you, ma'am? Good. Just living the dream. Hanging in there.
hi.
Oh, there we go.
Might try that next time.
Hello, Brenda.
Hello.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Yeah, how'd you just go big?
Hmm?
On my screen, you just took the whole picture.
Oh, you did too. You did on mine. I see you. Oh, there we go. Now I see you. I see the council chambers now. Did you get the council chambers on yours now?
Well, I did for a second. Now
Oh,
back
now I
to you.
got you again.
Yeah, so whoever's actually talking at the time will be who pops up on your screen. You can change that with the view in the top right corner if you want. You can see gallery view, that shows you everybody, or you can see the speaker view, and that'll show you who's actually talking at the time.
Gallery view.
I can have it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
That's the boat to go to.
Yeah, I'm gonna road and
Looks like a little boat.
looked at the streets over here.
Okay. I like that better.
Right in here.
Hey, I'm trapped by cables. Can you tell her that Brenda's here? I don't know where she went.
Talk about it.
I don't know. I don't know where she went. She may have.
Oh,
Okay, and see, where the sidewalk, where you know when they were talking about the sidewalk, I couldn't find
The
that.
sidewalk, well, yeah, I just threw out and then on just different places.
Okay.
Ms. Judy, we're ready when you are.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order at 6:05.
Don't forget the gavel now. There you go.
And, we first asked about the minutes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know about all that stuff. Do we have approval of the last meeting's minutes? Any
Yeah.
questions?
First, just entertain a motion. So you'll ask to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. And then we need a motion from one of the other members to approve the minutes.
I make second motion, we accept the minutes from last.
Make the motion,
I make the motion that
There
we
you go.
accept the minutes from last meeting.
and then we'll have somebody second.
I second that.
All right. And then if there's any questions, we can answer them.
Any questions on the minutes? Prior minutes?
Okay.
Now we're open for discussion.
You're all in favor
All,
to approve the minutes
Aye.
of December 21st, 2020?
all in favor of,
All in favor of approving the minutes?
accepting the
Yep.
minutes for December 21st, 2020. Yeah.
Aye.
Tony approved as well.
Okay. Let's go on to discussing,
We get the statement.
Yeah,
Sorry, what?
the disclosure statement, the disclaimer at the top of the agenda. You have that? With some members. That's all right.
question, 2 or 3 questions right away.
Okay, we got to read this disclaimer real quick,
Statement.
just so we're legal, and then we're good. That might. Want me to read it?
Some members of the planning and zoning may participate via telephone or video conference. A quorum may or may not be physically present in the city council chambers. Citizens wishing to make comments should email districtland@mtx.net. Citizens' comments received prior to the meeting adjourned will be read to the council.
That's it. And then you just highlight the next agenda item and we'll get started.
Okay, our next item is discussion of items that we've been
Okay,
given concerning capital project requests.
so we're gonna kick this thing off, starting with projects submitted from our street department, which is overseen by Jeffrey. Jeffrey's joining us from his home. He's joining us on Zoom, so he'll be on the TV screen there. He can interact with you 100%. Before we get started going through these projects, does anybody have any general questions, not project specific questions, but general questions about the process? Yes, ma'am.
What are we doing? Are we prioritizing these things? Is that basically what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. On, is streets or equipment more important than one or the other, or are we just talking about each one separately?
We're going to talk about each one separately. So first, we're going to categorize each project by whether it's needed urgently, whether it's contractually necessary, whether it's kind of a want and a desire. Yeah, we want that, but there's other projects that need to necessarily come first. And you guys are going to make those choices on what category to put them in. And then once we have them put into categories, we can go back and kind of get real nitty gritty with which one you guys feel needs to be a top project. We can start ranking those in order of, okay, let's say, for example, we've got 5 streets that you guys have all said urgently need to be addressed. We can go back and revisit those 5 streets once we've ranked them. You guys can say, okay, this one really needs to be the top priority. We need to make sure we address this one first, and then so forth down the list.
The other thing is, I'm so thankful for what they did to Smith and Langley. I know what it was like before. I know what it was like, but they did a lot of work before they started the roads. Now, on all these roads, like even on Race, is there going to be work that needs to be done, plumbing and stuff, or is each one a little different?
Each one's a little bit different. So it depends on the condition of the water lines underneath. We've had several water line replacements in recent years that have occurred. If we have roadways that are looking to be repaired and we have water lines underneath it that are dilapidated, we want to address those water lines before we repave the road, because we don't want to come back 3 years after repaving a road and have to dig it up. That's a mistake that we made with Enoch. So we don't want to make that mistake again. We're trying to address those issues. And that's kind of a part of the process on the back burner. Once you guys have prioritized things, then the directors are going to communicate based off the CIP on, okay, we've got this road slated. They want this road repaired. Are there any water line project coming up with this road that we need to address as well? And we'll try to either tie those together at the same time, or we'll make sure that the street project doesn't get done until the water line project is done. Some roads require significant repair and repaving, which Jeff will probably get into on each project, what that includes. Some roads just require a resurfacing, a layover, or an overlay, I'm sorry, an overlay of the road to smooth it out and add another layer on top. So it kind of depends on the condition of the road, what the road base is like, and how heavily traveled that road is. Ray Street is a heavily traveled roadway. So it's going to really need to be a full replacement, but a small residential street may just require an overlay. It may not require a full replacement. But as we go through each project, Jeff is going to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty on what each street project requires and why, and I'll let him make those arguments. Any other general questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
I don't know if it's general, but on it talked about doing sidewalks. So would the sidewalks be done at the same time as the street?
That's going to depend on funding, not necessarily. Sidewalks can be done independently from streets altogether. So there's a lot of grant programs and things out there that are available for sidewalk replacement and repair. Our hope is to pursue those grant opportunities and try to get some funding assistance to cover sidewalks. There's not as many grant opportunities out there for streets. There's several grant opportunities out there for sidewalks. So it kind of depends on what funding will become available. There may be times where we're able to replace a sidewalk, but not the street, or vice versa, the street, not the sidewalk. It just depends on what funds are available and when. But we'll try to do it all together, because that's kind of a beautification effort when we do things all the same time in one area. It looks nicer, it makes for a nicer project and a nicer result. But unfortunately, funding isn't always there to make that happen. And we've got to be able to work within our means, so to speak. So we got to work with what the funding allows.
Just we'll let Jeff.
All right. Well, let's start with the race rebuild project.
Right. Since the race rebuild project, that street is heavily traveled. All of our citizens, most of our citizens use that street, and even those that don't live in town use that street to move north and south through Everman. It's a street used heavily by people that want to go to the shopping center, Johnson Park, the high school. It's an important street to repair, and I believe it should be completely rebuilt. One of the problems that you have with these streets, once they become what they call alligatoring, and that's where the street starts chipping up and looks almost like different shells or alligator skin. Once that develops, you can't really overlay that, because all it is it's separated and just keeps moving, whether you have new asphalt on it, where you've tried to bind it together. Eventually it pulls away, and you've got a lot of that on Ray Street. And I think you'll have maybe a copy of what it would cost, what I've kind of come up with for the funding for that. I figured about $125,000. That's based off the 2020 prices of asphalt and the slurry that would be used, the material cost that would be used to do the work. I have not included any cost of employee or anything like that, because a lot of this is done by the county. They do the work for us. We don't really have the equipment available that will do that kind of work, and that's another talk we'll get into later. But that's one of the most important streets, I think, since it's our street. When you drive down Ray Street, you think of the city of Everman. That's the city of Everman's main street. I think we need to make that street look good. It's important. It's important for the look of the city. It's important for the look of outsiders. It's important to the look of people wanting to bring business into the city. It's important to our community. They'll see that we're really trying to make the city look better for the community and provide a safe street to drive on, free of potholes, cracks, bumps that can, it's devastating to tires and eventually to people's vehicles. So I think it's a very important street to get into. Now, a lot of this is contingent on water line replacements. As Craig said earlier, we want to make sure if their water lines need to replace, we replace those first. If they haven't been replaced, we need to replace those first because we don't want to go back as we've done in the past, put in a new street and have to dig. And unfortunately, one of the places I'm talking about is Enoch Street. If you'll drive down Enoch Street, we resurfaced that, or actually rebuilt it several years ago and resurfaced some of it. And now we're digging through that new asphalt to replace water lines. So these are going to be most of them contingent on water line repairs in that area. But as I said, Ray Street is the most important street that we should consider right now. Now, there are some that are going to have street repair, water line repairs. Those repairs will still have they'll go back and they'll asphalt the area that they cut through to run the water lines in. So they'll have at least some kind of surface there until we get around to doing that street. What I'm trying to think of is the streets are the most important streets we need to get to. They're highly traveled streets that our citizens use daily to go to school, work, the shopping centers, the parks, city hall, things like that.
Well, personally, I think it's first priority. And I don't, how we're supposed to just agree upon that or what?
Yeah, so you guys are gonna kind of discuss this on the back page underneath the coding key.
Right.
Is gonna be our goal, whether we need to be urgently committed to this, whether you feel like it's necessary but not urgent. Urgent is a very high priority. That's something that you feel we need to address as soon as possible with funding from any funding source that we can find. Necessary is gonna be more of a project that is needed, but may not as be a urgent of a need as an urgent classification one. Desirable are going to be a lot of like your park projects, things that we would like to see done, but we've got other things that we need to address before we can get to that point. Or if we're able to find grant funding and other funding opportunities to pay for those desirable projects, we can go ahead and do that with alternative funds, not necessarily city funds to go.
I think with Ray Street, pretty much everyone's agreeable on that. What if that's all we need to do? Go on to something else. I don't have any, unless someone has some questions.
I have
I have a couple of questions. I guess it's kind of towards Jeff. In here, you have dump trucks, street, the asphalt layer, and the equipment we need to lay our own streets.
Well, that's going to come later. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, my question is if we do that and put that as a priority, could we use that to do the roads? What would that save us on the other? I mean, I hate to get all the roads redone, then we won't need a street laying machine. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Well, these are just for I understand what you're saying, and we do need that equipment badly. We have equipment that's dated back to 1983.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, if we got the new equipment, could we lay our own streets?
Eventually we can, yes. But we're trying to take some money, allocate in certain locations, other monies to allocate in some other locations. I don't know how long it would take us to get the monies and get the equipment we need to do these streets. If we can get the county to do them now, and I can understand what you're saying with some of these streets, we do need that, but something like Ray Street that we really need to get on top of right away. And for one thing, our men would have to train on that new equipment. They've never used that kind of equipment before. They'd all have to be working together simultaneously on that. At least all four of the people, one of the guys in parks and the three guys in the streets would have to be working all together with that. But something like Ray Street, I think we should consider that, get into that ahead of the game.
Much of a savings,
That's the decision y'all can make. Y'all can decide on.
how much of a savings do you think it'll really create to do to have our own road making machine and all that? How versus the county coming in and doing it?
Well, the county's not, we only pay for a material cost for the county, but the problem we have with the county is we have to work under their time frame.
Yeah.
So that makes it kind of difficult, where our equipment is a pothole truck. We have a pothole truck. It's not to do anything but repair potholes. And if we get main breaks that we have to go across the road and go down the road 8 to 10 feet or further, 20 feet, we need something that lays across that repair if we need to in the future, or even before we have it repaired, without just having to piecemeal it together with a, small pothole truck that we
Yeah,
have.
but I was just trying to kind of see if it made sense to go ahead and rush this other one through instead of doing the other. But I see what you're saying. I know scheduling with the county, it could take a year or two for them to get to a project.
Right.
And
So, I mean,
Tony, let me add in here also, there's kind of a big difference between us doing a street build and us being able to do our own overlays. Us doing our own overlays and laying over a layer of asphalt with our guys is pretty easily achievable with the equipment. But doing a complete street rebuild is going to take more personnel than what this city even has to operate.
Or
So I
understand.
think when it comes to street rebuilds, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm overstating here, but when it comes to a street rebuild, we're still going to need that county support to be able to do street rebuilds. But general maintenance and overlays of streets that will be required about every 5 to 7 years, we'll be able to handle those in-house with that equipment that is listed later on in the CIP. So
You're absolutely correct, Craig. on
I
that.
see what you're saying because you got the lime injectors and all that stuff. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Okay.
And if you'll notice when you see the county come in, they've got 10 to 15 guys out there working, and that's why they can get it done that short time frame and get everything done as quick as they do too. We have a handful of guys, and it's like Craig said, we can do maintenance, we can do overlays. It won't take that many men and take that much time to do an overlay, but to do a rebuild where you're having to dig everything up, roll everything out several times, run it back and forth several times, wait a few days, lime it in, wait a few more days. The county can do it just a lot quicker, so they have the manpower to do it.
Oh, no.
Right.
What I wanted to say,
Basically, rebuild is what they did to Everyone Parkway.
yes,
that's what they did in front of my house, and it took days. They scraped and they did this and they did that. That's what I want for the rest of Everman, not
We
just.
have to actually take all that overlay that.
Yeah, no, they
years,
went in
like
and-
taking paint off. You got
Yeah.
multiple layers, we'll take a stripper and going all the way down to the base coat and then rebuilding it up. And that's a very, very manpower tedious job.
It is.
And this would be from Enon to Shelby. It's not gonna go past the high school, because I know they just county just did the street by the high school. So you're not going up
Well,
into the.
we're gonna get into some arguments about who actually owns the territory south of Shelby Road. That's another mistake the city has made in years past. And Jeff, how long ago was it that we replaced Shelby Road?
I'd say about 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago, the
8 to
city.
10 years ago, yeah.
spent hundreds of thousands of dollars repaving Shelby Road.
I remember.
To afterwards learn that that's not even our road, and Fort Worth kindly thanked us for spending that money on their road to replace it. So there's kind of been some arguments between the city of Fort Worth and the city of Everman of exactly whose jurisdiction it is on South Race, south of Shelby. And as much of our knowledge as we know right now, that portion of the roadway is about 50-50. So when it comes time to replacing that roadway, you can bet we're going to be going to Fort Worth and asking them to make a cooperative effort on replacing that roadway. Not only because 50% of it belongs to the city of Fort Worth, but the major carnage to that roadway is due to the development that they're putting in down there.
Yeah, that's not.
So-
About the traffic over there.
Yeah, but this particular project is just Shelby Road to Race, right? Or Shelby Road to Enon, right, Jeff?
Yes.
No.
Not south of Shelby, no.
Shelby to Enon. Okay.
So you need to know what our rating is on it.
Yeah, we're needing to know what you guys want to rate it as.
You for urgent.
I gave it
So,
a U. I gave it a U.
what about you, Brenda? What do you think?
I gave it an N. The only thing, the reason I said is because you is in health and safety. For urgent, it says needed for health and safety.
So some roadways will classify for you urgent for health and safety because of safety of traffic.
Oh,
And that is something to consider with the safety of traffic, not just the safety of the traffic, but the safety of the pedestrians on the side of the road as well.
'cause
And
I know
buses
the
going
kids
down there
walking to
too.
school there.
Yeah, so
Walking to the
roadways
district.
can classify as you. If you
That's why I
deem it that bad of a road, then it needs to be classified as you can do that.
What
do
would, Tony was saying, that's why I was asking, going back and forth about what we definitely need, and we'll get into the equipment later. But right now, this is just kind of classifying these things, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we all
The equip-
do then?
The equipment can come later. As we were saying, that would be used for maintenance purposes and to maintain the streets. Once they are rebuilt, we have a program that we've started that we can start maintaining the streets throughout the years. It carries on to about 30 years, basically. So we have a program for that, and that's what that new equipment be used for.
Yeah, if your streets are maintained with seal coats and stuff like that, they'll last a whole lot longer. We've just gotten way behind on doing any seal coating or anything, and that's why we're paying for it now.
We don't have the equipment. We don't have a seal coater machine. That's one of the things we're asking for now. That eventually we'd like to have the seal coats.
Because if we can
Lay
do that
down
ourselves,
machines and, yeah.
I mean, that's what saves your roads right there. Everybody gripes about the gravel, but in the long run, it saves your roads.
Tony, what's your thoughts?
Well, I kind of feel biased on this because I live on that street, and I remember whenever it was a gravel road. But yeah, I'm putting it as to me, any main street, the Ray Street, the Kelly, those are your main streets through town. Everybody has to use the main roads. Only the people on a block use those side roads. The main roads need to be done. So mine's urgent.
Not urgent.
For which one?
For race.
Race.
Oh, yeah, I thought we already did that. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to Steeple Ridge and Court Beautification Project.
Okay.
Again, those streets have a lot of, I believe you may have the photographs of those. I know I include them in the report when I send it to job form. Those streets, again, have a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of alligatoring. It's going to be, those are going to be rebuilt. The thing about it, again, it's contingent on water line replacements. They've replaced some of the water lines on all the streets. I think half the block water lines on all the streets, but then they still got half those streets in the long run that have that new water line. So we want to wait till those new water lines are connected to the, they're replaced before we would do any work out there. Again, contingent on the water line replacements, but those are urgent, but not nearly as urgent as we have. Not the main streets. They're still not the main streets. However, something like Peppermill is a main street for the neighborhood. They go back and forth through that neighborhood. That's a main street there. And again, I found when I went out there that unfortunately there's just so much alligatoring there that you'd have to rebuild that street, unfortunately, because it's just, again, if you tried to overlay it, it wouldn't last long. Even if we tried to seal coat it later, it's just not gonna last.
Is Steeple Ridge north, south, or east and west?
Steeple Ridge is east
Is it
and
the
west.
first turn past the creek that goes all the way around?
Steeple Ridge is east. Georgetown goes all the way through from Green Oaks to Shelby. Steeple Ridge, all the other streets basically have a cul-de-sac. Peppermill comes off Shelby and deads into, I believe, Chimney Rock.
Peppermill comes off Forest Hill Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peppermill comes off, I'm sorry, Forest Hill Drive. Pardon me, I meant Forest Hill Drive.
Yeah.
And dead into the Chimney Rock.
Okay, so Steeple Ridge is a north-south.
North-south.
Yeah, these are
Okay.
these are all north and south. Steeple Ridge, Deer Creek, all these are north and south. Again, half the streets have had the water lines replaced. I think Steeple Ridge had half the water line replaced, but not all of it. I guess it was just a plan they had at the time. I'm not sure it was, I believe, done before my time. So again,
Do a half job.
we still have to replace the other half of the water lines before we want to do anything on those streets. Because we're going to do the street, we should do it all at least one at a time, all at the same time.
I agree.
Chambers Creek, you notice, has already been done, and it's a nice street right now. It's really a good street, soft, firm, safe. But as you see this alligator in here, in this picture, that will not hold up. If you try to seal coat that, or you try to overlay that, it will not hold up. Also, if you'll notice, it's sinking in there. That's the base that has failed. A base is very important for a road. If you don't have the proper base, that's what actually supports the road. The asphalt itself is just give you a smooth surface to drive on. The base, which is made out of crushed concrete, sand, lime together, that's what actually holds up the street and maintains the strength of the street. This has actually failed in this area, so it would have to be repaired, period, completely dug up.
What about the water lines and things? Does it need a lot of that?
As I said, half these streets, and I think if you look, that might be a patch, I'm not sure, but half these streets, I want to say up to Peppermill, I think most of the streets from Green Oaks up to Peppermill, I believe the lines have been replaced on most of those. But then from Peppermill on into the cul-de-sacs, I believe those have not been replaced. But now then that's not all of them, because Georgetown, I don't believe they replaced in the lines at Georgetown, and we've got severe main breaks on Georgetown and Deer Creek. We have severe main breaks there. So those need to be, as I said, repaired, replaced, before we can do anything with those streets, or would want to do anything with those streets as far as asphalting and rebuilding. However, they're still important. Again, not as important as the main streets, but they are block streets, and they're secondary to the mains. Let me put it that way. The main streets, I think, like Tony said, should come first. And the reason I've got these on the list is because I believe those are in the fairly near future. I believe there's a plan to replace those lines out there.
I put it down as a C for committed. I mean, it's,
Well,
to
hold
me,
on.
it's not urgent.
Sorry, Tony. C is if we're committed by contract.
D, I guess, huh?
N would be just below U. So for example, if we've got a contract in place that we're required to do it, that would be C. N would be necessary. D would be desirable. So this one would either be a U, N, or a D. Unless y'all didn't want to do it at all. It would be a-
Oh,
We want
really
it.
I think it's,
I think an N. I said
D.
I think it's necessary, but I don't think it's a main street that
I said N.
D.
I'd like to say urgent on all the roads, but I kind of like the idea of getting this equipment too. And I know the city's going to balk. The council will balk if you throw all this at them.
Well, Peppermill to me is needed, but yet it's more desirable because it's a significant road. Does that make sense? I mean, before.
Yeah, it's
to
a
come
it's
before
a
this,
residential only street.
Yes, it's a residential
Kelly
street.
and Peppermill are the same thing. They're like
Mhm.
race.
So the city itself would be doing Stephen Ridge, Deer Creek, those, right?
If it's a street rebuild, then no, the county would have to come in and rebuild that street for us. If it is a street maintenance and overlay, or patchwork or crack fill, or reseal, and we have the equipment, then the city could do that one. But a street rebuild, this would have to be a county project.
This would be a county, because it's rebuild. It's pretty
Yes.
much
Okay,
rebuild.
Steeple Ridge and Deer Creek would be like rebuilds.
Those are
Yes.
rebuild,
Okay.
right.
That makes a difference. then, too.
So the county would come in and do those.
Yeah.
But everyone still has to pay them.
We don't pay the county. Through an interlocal agreement, the county does the manpower for free, but we still have to buy all the materials to go
Yeah,
with.
that's what I'm talking about, the material.
That would have to happen whether we did it or the county did it. So it's, with the county doing it, it could be done a lot faster. They have as we said, they have the manpower, the equipment, and everything they do that we need to rebuild the street. So again, we're paying just mainly for the material costs, and they're doing all the work and supplying all the equipment, manpower.
Well, can I Can I suggest something, kind of speed this up a little bit? Pepper Mill, Deer Creek Drive and Court, Kelly Drive, and Steeple Ridge. I say they're all urgent. That way we can just cover all the roads in one pass.
If they were all urgent, how would you classify one before the other?
Well, we would get to that later. So
Oh,
it's okay to have multiple classifications. We're not
That would be,
Sure.
Now, we're not
Sure.
expecting you to prioritize one over another right now.
this still has to go to city council for them to vote.
Gotta go to city council.
In fact, the Kelly is on that list, and I think it may be at least a third, maybe not a secondary or a third important street, because people do use Kelly a lot, as they do Enon, to drive through their neighborhoods and drive even out to the grocery stores and out to Michael and those streets. So Kelly is an important street. And
Kelly's a
we've done
major
some of Kelly in the
thoroughfare. Yep.
past.
And if I could make a recommendation too, is when we're looking at streets, consider the number of individuals it impacts. The more people it impacts, the higher the ranking or the higher the classification should be. When you're looking at a residential road like Steeple Ridge or Deer Creek, the number of people that impacts is very limited compared to the rest of the city. And that's something to take into consideration as rather than a commuter street or a neighborhood thoroughfare street like Kelly and Race and those streets would be. So just something else to consider is the number of people it's going to impact as well. Obviously, if we had all the money in the world, we just go out here and repave all our streets in one day with gold, and that wouldn't be an issue. But that's kind of the task you're associated with is choosing what's the most important thing to deal with and tackle right now.
I think, like with Kelly, I mean, with Deer Creek and Steeple Ridge, would be more like an N, and the others are U. That's my thoughts.
That's
Like
up to
we
you
just-
guys to decide and
I'm good
discuss.
with that.
I can say from experience and being out on the street most of the days, that those streets, Deer Creek, Steeple Ridge, and those streets aren't used as much as something like Kelly Drive is used and again, Ray Street.
Okay, so how about Kelly and Race being you and the rest of them being in?
I want that. Race and Kelly is being used and the other three is in.
Is everybody on board with that?
Okay, Deer Creek, what are we saying?
Deer Creek, Peppermill, and Steeple Ridge would be in.
Be what,
In
yeah,
necessary. Then Kelly and Race would be.
what are you saying, Brenda?
That's what I think. But I use Peppermill.
I think Peppermill is pretty, I mean, it goes right through there. I mean,
I'm sure a lot of
use-
people
a lot of
cut
people
through
use
that live
Peppermill.
in Chambers Creek drive through Peppermill.
Okay,
Craig, can you pull up Peppermill again?
There's 40 homes on Peppermill Drive.
That many?
but it's a thoroughfare.
I'm sorry, not Peppermill. There's more homes on Peppermill than there are on Steeple
There's not hardly any on there.
Mm-mm. Those streets are short. For Peppermill, people drive through there to get to Chambers Creek.
Okay, Peppermill is kind of a busy street too.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
then we
thinking.
want to make Peppermill, Ray and Kelly in,
For you.
you and Steeple Ridge and Deer Creek is in.
Right,
So we have 3 U's and 2 in.
that's what
I'm
I'm
good with
thinking.
that.
Okay. With those streets, they run together like where Deer Creek crosses with Peppermill. It's like it's that intersection right there.
Yeah, there's
On the-
intersections there too, with the Steeple Ridge. and Deer Creek, they do cross. Peppermill.
So would they fix the whole intersection? Or just that one?
What I'm thinking about too is that when they come in here and they start this work, things are gonna be pushed back and pushed back just because we say we like these. That doesn't mean they're gonna get them one. It's gonna take a while.
Oh, okay.
So I think. Anyway, okay. Do we want to talk about sidewalks now? I think we've got,
I'm just making my notes real quick. I gotta jot all these decisions down. Okay. So, yeah, the next one I've got is at the top. It's called Street Equipment Garage.
Right. That's through me too. We were talked about buying new equipment, which we're gonna need. We need to replace our equipment, but we also need to place the store equipment. As you can see, and I don't know if y'all noticed out there, but we've got that little shop. It may look big, but it's not a very big shop for all the equipment we have at the time. We don't have a place to park a lot of our equipment. We have to keep it out in the rain and the weather. We'd like to have another shed. We don't have a location exactly picked out, but we'd like to be able to be approved for a place where we can store our new vehicles, our equipment, street equipment, things like that. I mean, we don't have a room now with the shop we have to store. We got a lot of equipment that sits out in the weather, and you have to keep it covered to keep it from deteriorating. As you can see, the picture for shop, we just got all the equipment, materials, signs, paints, just everything you can think of stored there that we use. Weed eaters, mowers, cleaning equipment. Equipment to use on vehicles, chargers, things like that. And at one time, I think they had a bigger, before my time, they had a bigger shop that they kept things in. And they removed that shop, and I think this shop was already there. They utilized this shop for most everything else, most work. And most
that was the old fire hall.
I believe so. I know it was before my time.
Like the old.
But you can see our truck out there. You can see the front end of that truck. All our trucks are out in the open right now. I hate to leave them out there. I mean, I'm not really considering putting those in as much as I am the equipment that we need to use on the streets and that kind of stuff. Pavers, rollers, things like that we'll need.
seems
But
to me,
weather's not good on equipment.
especially if we're gonna add more equipment, we need to fix all that up, and get a new garage.
In fact, what's one of the problems we had with the equipment was sitting outside. And even though you cover it with a tarp, it still doesn't protect it from the cold winters that cause the rubbers and plastic parts of them to crack, the belts to crack, and then in the extreme heat, that just overheats the equipment to where the material, the rubbers and the belts get soft and things like that. Hoses get bad.
Getting that hot.
It gets hot in Texas.
I marked that down as a U. Yeah.
All right, I have a question. On here, it says that you would have to buy land. Do you have any already in mind, or you already looking at?
We've looked at several locations. We haven't come with a decision where it would be. We've got sort of an idea where we'd like to put it.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how to ask any kind of questions on the garage because I don't know whether it's built right or if you're planning to build a certain way. And I just.
This is a pre-built building. It's already designed for me and everything. Basically, it just have to be put together. It's already been designed by metal. It's all metal and designed by a metal manufacturing company that designs buildings just for this purpose.
And you know where you're gonna put it and where you're gonna, you know where it's going and everything.
Well, we have some ideas of where we got several different ideas of where it'd go. We'd have to sit down to decide where it's gonna go once we know we can have the building.
Would there be extra storage when you keep the place up right up here, or is everything gonna be moved over there?
Well, we do have properties, we have a property across at catty corner from our shop now on Race and Enon. That southwest corner belongs to us, and that may be a perfect location for something like that. And that's right there by the rest of the city buildings. So it's not that far away from anything.
Jeff, I think she was asking,
No.
are we gonna keep the current garage still?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Y'all have to forgive me. My ears are stopped up. I've been dealing with a flu or something, but we would keep this, the building, yeah, we would keep it and use it again as storage, but as you can see, it's being utilized to the extent right now.
So yeah, this would be in addition
In
to.
addition,
It'd just be an additional building that would just be used to store drivable equipment, rollers, the graders, things like that, pavers, those kind of things.
And secure them from theft.
Yes.
okay.
We don't have theft and everything.
Yeah. You get new equipment, you see what happens. Those parts are expensive, I can tell you.
Do we have any thoughts about whether they need it or not? How much they need it?
Put it down as a U.
Yes.
To me, that's, I mean,
I don't know.
it's like building a new house and not putting locks on your doors.
Well, if we're gonna get new equipment and do this and do that, we need a place to put all that new stuff.
That's my thinking.
I gave it a U.
What do you think, Brenda?
I'm looking at how much it costs.
Oh, we're not supposed to look at cost, right? That's what she told us. We're not supposed to
We don't look at cost.
Yeah, I don't want y'all to panic about cost because again, just because you mark something as you doesn't mean we're gonna go out and spend money we don't have to purchase it. We're gonna make sure funding's available before we move down this list. It's just, you guys are prioritizing it. So as funding opportunities become available, we're gonna work down that list in the order that you guys choose. to
Right.
mark or checking these things out.
But Brenda, just so you know, that's not a bad cost.
No, it's not.
No,
It's not.
the metal building's gonna cost you probably about 50, and then the rest of it's probably just for the concrete.
Oh, okay. It's about concrete, electrical.
Yeah, when you start throwing concrete in there, you start getting expensive. But you got to hold up the equipment too. If you put down asphalt, you're going to sink through it.
Oh, it's like the road.
Would you like to put a different recommendation on it? We were putting you
I
for
think it's
urgent.
urgent if we get the new equipment.
Yeah, I believe that includes a concrete floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and before we start putting you on everything too, I don't want to discourage you. I like you. You means we're gonna go out and try to get everything we can. But I do want you to keep in mind that we've got a lot more projects to go through aside from streets as well.
That's
So we're gonna have water department come up, economic development, fire department, police department. So there's a whole bunch of projects we're gonna be looking at too. So just something to keep in mind that we're not just looking at this list. We got a lot more projects to go through in addition to. So,
Hey, Craig,
yep.
I understand what you're saying, but I think the city's been falling behind for so long that they're going to have to do something to catch up.
I'm not arguing that with you.
Why was
I mean, I don't know.
building?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to.
Much for water equipment. And it's not just gonna be.
I mean, when you don't do nothing for 10 years, you still got 10 years worth of stuff to do.
Jeff, Ms. Orme was just highlighting on something that maybe you can elaborate on. Is this building going to be solely dedicated just for this street equipment? Or is it going to be a multi-purpose building available for water equipment storage and other things as well?
If we have room right now, I just been thinking about the street equipment, but of course, we can utilize it for any water equipment that we need to. We won't need to have a lot of utility or electricity there. It's going to be a storage building. It's not going to be conditioned. It's going to have overhead doors, openable doors you can go through. There's not going to be a lot of cost as far as maintenance to it. There won't be air conditioning, and there will be just enough lighting that we'll have to utilize the lighting during the day, at night if we need to be up at night. But we can use it for the water equipment machines too, so not just ours.
Is it going to be insulated?
I don't have it insulated, no. As I said, it's just for storage.
Well, that knocks it down a little bit. More like necessary or desirable.
Okay, and
What do
necessary.
you think, Laura?
We need to go back and look at this. I would put an N because we don't have that new equipment yet. But if we get the new equipment, then that would bump it up to a U.
Well, he's saying it was more storage than adding, I guess, new equipment to it, huh?
But he's getting it.
Yeah, the building would be utilized to store the
Store.
new equipment if approved when purchased in.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Well, I
Well,
think
they could put their old equipment in there. Maybe it lasts another couple of years till this other stuff comes through.
That's a fact as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we've got what we've got now undercover. It's out there running. Lawnmowers, everything. It's all just
Well, are we gonna do the U then?
weather's not good on that. That's what I did.
What? What? Did he
Say that
say-
again, Tony? You broke
I
up.
did. I put a U for it.
Okay. These, you know,
I put N.
put it in. Okay, we'll just put U in.
Let's take a vote.
We don't have
I
to.
did a U.
I don't think we have to.
Because if we had the equipment, it'd be like urgent, needed now. But we don't have it. But we can vote.
Just put
Can I ask everybody just to kind of use their outside voice in here, because it's really hard to hear y'all.
Oh, okay.
For me, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm having a hard
We got a
time.
map on this.
I can hear the TV or everybody on the TV versus y'all, you know,
I did a U. I gave it a U.
okay? Gotta,
I've got down here UN because everyone said U, but Brenda, she's saying N,
I said N.
whatever that means. Is kind of
I felt like it's necessary. But if we get the equipment, then I would say it would be a U, but we don't have the equipment yet. And we don't know for sure if we're gonna get it.
Okay, I'll make that note and let's move on so we're not tied up on one project.
we didn't do sidewalks if you hadn't noticed.
Yep, let's see. Move on to the sidewalk rehab through replacement up at the very top.
What's my battery running low? I need to plug in.
Yeah.
the computer.
On the sidewalk, we maybe get quite a bit of help from COG on that. I'm in contact with them now, waiting for them to return my my call. They've been in and out with the holidays and things that we've been dealing with. So I'm hoping I will hear from her this week, but they do have a program that helps rebuild sidewalks and even extend existing sidewalks and even install sidewalks where you need them, where you don't have sidewalks. So they've got programs that will meet those needs that we can, again, I'm waiting for word back from her that we can check into. Can you hear me, Tony?
Yeah, my battery's going dead on the computer. I'm trying to figure out how to plug it in. How's that?
And this program is not a program it would work at different locations throughout the city, depending on severity of the sidewalks. We want to just stay in one part of the city and get that neighborhood done and move to another neighborhood. What we want to do is hit what we consider maybe tripping hazards, could be dangerous to kids, could be dangerous to adults, especially the elderly that are utilizing those sidewalks. We really need to get those places replaced. And again, the county, the COG can help us with those situations. They've got programs for that. And again, I'm waiting for some more information on those programs from COG. I should hear from them this week.
Well, these will be done a little at a time as priority. Places will be done a little at a time.
Right, we would need to find out which areas need to be the worst. And I think there were photographs, and you can see some of the problems that we have with the sidewalks if we've got the photographs available. I'm not sure from here. I'm at home, by the way. But again, we would hit the most needed areas just to make them safe enough for the people to use. We can always fit the other parts of the sidewalks that aren't in bad shape to meet those really severe areas. We want to hit the severe areas first. They're the dangerous areas, are the areas that cause kids to go out and play out in the street or walk around out in the street when they're walking home, keep from tripping on the sidewalk. And again, you've got people that are using those sidewalks more and more for exercise. You've got a lot of the elderly that like to walk the sidewalks back and forth. And then some of those areas are just really severe tripping hazards that need to be replaced.
Was that along Forest Hill Rendon Road? Are you talking about any of that? Or Long Race even, these places that don't have any?
Well, I'm particularly worried about the England Isle area first, and then tell you why, because those sidewalks are really severely damaged, and a lot of those areas are. And then you've got some, again, in the Chambers Creek area that are in fairly bad shape. And then even some of those along Langley and Smith, there's a few areas there that need to be replaced. But yes, they can come in and they can put sidewalks in areas that we never had sidewalks. For instance, they could put sidewalks down Ray Street where kids walk back and forth to school. And they got programs, especially for areas where children walk, to have to go to school, things like that. They've got programs, COG does, that will provide the funding for those kind of projects.
Is that Tony that called you? He got dropped on the call.
I think it's desirable.
I gave it a D.
You gave it a
D.
D. That's what I was thinking. NRD.
I gave it a D.
What did you say?
I was thinking urgent.
Huh? Oh, urgent. Well, I don't know. I've walked up and down sidewalks for years. Now I'm thinking of certain sidewalks.
Where's the area?
This is
He's talking about citywide.
All over.
Yeah,
I'm talking about citywide. I'm talking about the move from location to location now, just to hit the severe tripping hazards.
Let me bite the bullet on this one.
Okay.
Yep, I think on this project, I think we need to go back and maybe resubmit this one with a little bit more definition on areas, because it's going to be hard for them to say whether it's urgent or not urgent. A new sidewalk, for example, in a residential neighborhood may not be urgent. That may be desirable, but a new sidewalk, say in front of Bishop Elementary, might be urgent.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think maybe let's retract this project.
Okay. I sure will. I tell you what I'll do. I'll get a hold of COG and get with them. We'll get something going together and present something for y'all to look at. Okay.
Because I don't think it's urgent. So England Isle is over here.
Are you available to join by phone?
On Wichita at the bottom. If you look
Okay.
over there where you
I'll
have
give you a phone
Thompson,
number. to
Creighton,
call.
Yeah,
Clement, Heathcliff.
Just 1 second.
South Forest Hill. Drive over there.
Oh, okay, I'm looking
Is
at
that Forest Hill?
Wichita.
England Isle is the one way up north.
No,
It's right
you're
here.
good.
Oh, I haven't been
Yeah.
there for ages, yeah.
Okay, the phone number is
Yeah.
346.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been up there for
248.
ages. I don't know what it looks like.
7799.
It's okay, he's gonna
The
resubmit.
meeting
He gonna
ID
resubmit
number
that, 'cause I gave
is
it an N.
957
Okay, cause I didn't see break drive on there. So when it's out in the neighborhood. Okay. Cause I went and drove by the
8878.
high school. I'm like, where are these kids?
And if it asks
They
you
don't
for a
have a sidewalk.
password,
They're in
it's
the road.
02.
You know,
Oh, I've walked in the road for
2799.
years,
there's no
You know.
sidewalk.
but you could
I
use
said,
some
they need
sidewalks.
sidewalk.
Okay, the
All
next one would be the boom lift.
Okay. Tony dropped his laptop died, so he's gonna be calling in and joining by phone. So
Okay.
But yeah, Jeff, let's do that. Let's take this,
Okay.
let's retract the sidewalks and let's break it up into different project areas so they can add a
You
better
bet.
classification to it.
I
I'm
sure
sorry.
do that. You got it. You betcha I will.
And when you talk to those people this week, ask them if they'll do race.
Ask him if they'll do race. Did you catch that, Jeff?
What's that? I'm sorry.
He said, ask him if they'll do race.
I'll get with COG and we'll sit down. I'll get with them and I'll give them what our needs are and see what we can get some feedback from them, what kind of feedback we can get, and I'll present it to you, okay?
You're doing
Okay.
the street, maybe you could do that, too.
All right, let's move on to the one at the top that says boom lift.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, which one? Is that one of mine?
Yes, boom
Yeah.
lift. These are all gonna be yours, Jeff.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yep, top. at
Oh, the
top,
boom lift?
Boom lift, yes, sir.
Okay, since we have, all of the new fences, the new dugouts and the new equipment at the parks, and we've been needing a boom for a while, we're always either renting a boom or having somebody, bring a boom out to work on our fences and, or baseball fences and things like that. And those fences can get pretty high. We have nets that we have to hang up and take down every once in a while. Also just things like putting the star on top of the Christmas tree. We're having to get somebody to come out and put that star up for us. So I'm thinking we can, if we had our own boom, we could do that work ourselves. We have to rely on outside forces or people to do the work for us. And also just things like getting on top of the roof of the building. You know, we're climbing up the antenna to get on top of the roof of a building, and I don't think that's very safe. We're standing on ladders to change lights. I don't think that's very safe. I think a boom would be helpful for my men to do maintenance work. There was a picture right there. As I said, we can repair fences ourselves. We don't have to call somebody from the outside, bring their boom in or try to rent a boom. And it would save us some time, effort, and probably safe for us too, instead of using ladders to try to climb up these high spots, try to place light fixtures.
How often do you replace the lighting?
Well, whenever they go out, it just depends. They go out once a month or once every other month, and then we've replaced the light and even some of the light fixtures we have to replace, so they might get bad.
TV to plug in there.
How often would you use it?
Replace it.
But even right now with City Hall and the shop, we're having to go up on the roof at times and do repairs and, patches and things like that.
Hey, Jeff, I got a question. I just noticed the $20,000 ongoing cost. Is that right, or did you mean 2,000?
I meant 2,000. I'm sorry. That's just for regular maintenance. Pardon me for the discrepancy in that. That's just $2,000 for regular maintenance on those items.
Okay. I about had a heart attack. I just saw it. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, that's okay.
Seems very desirable. I'm trying to decide how much more. And
Hey, Tony, I see that you joined back. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. On the sidewalks, just FYI, we got to the sidewalks. We tabled that one. Jeff's going to retract it, go back and do some more research and break it up into geographical areas so we can better address it.
All right.
what do you think about.
Now we're talking about a boom lift. I don't know if you've heard that about the boom lift.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard it.
Okay.
Well, what do you guys think?
I put that as a D for desirable.
I did a D.
That's about what I did too. Yeah,
Brenda? All
I
right,
think we want to put D on that.
D for desirable. Okay, let's move on. Next one I've got is tractor and brush hog replacement at the top.
Right. Some of the areas that we have in the city, we can't use just a regular riding mower or weed eaters. The grass and the weeds are so thick, they're, sometimes almost an inch in diameter. And we need to use the brush hog to mow those areas down. That would be some of our right of ways, especially areas along Royce Brooks, and then out south end of Johnson Park and parts of Johnson Park that just wouldn't hold up. We're just using a riding mower to wear it out pretty quick. As you can see this picture, this is a picture of our old mower, and I'm trying to think what year that is, but I think it's early 90s, if not earlier. We're always having trouble with this thing. Thing breaks down almost every other day during the summer. We're having to replace hoses almost every other day. We have trouble keeping it running. The brush hog is in bad shape. As you can see, the engine just worn out. Hoses are starting to crack. As you see at the end, some of the hoses are starting to crack and fray. We're having to replace hoses constantly. It's constantly leaking, as you can see, just by the buildup of dirt that's caused by leaks from oil and you can see right here that the gathering of the fluids on this and caked the dirt all over it. It's constant repair with this old tractor. And it just doesn't have the pulling power it did in its youth. Unfortunately, it just doesn't have the pulling power. It's just kind of worn out over the years.
I think
Uh,
it only needs one.
Go ahead.
Seems to me the city should have one, a good one, but do we need it now? You're gonna use it.
We do need
Well,
it. We do utilize it.
Go ahead.
My question was John Deere.
No.
We've not had much luck with John Deere in the pricing of their parts. They're specialized in their parts, so you can't use other parts on that tractor or bulldozers or whatever. And I'm just kind of like anti John Deere. I mean, they're good tractors. They've been around forever and all that. But boy, whenever you have to do maintenance, it kills you.
Oh, we know. We've been spending money on this one for several years now.
Yeah.
Last 5 years, at least. We spent
Is there
thousands of
another-
dollars on repairing that thing.
Is there a reason why we went with John Deere instead of somebody
Well,
else?
we've just had a contract with John Deere for many years. That's all.
So just a reminder, you guys, as the P and Z board, you can choose one of the assignments on here was research. You can assign it the R, and then Jeff will take it back, do some more research, take a look at some better options, and resubmit it to you at a later time if you'd like to choose that.
Good to me, yeah.
I kind of like that one. I mean,
Okay.
I know we need a new tractor. I may be back home.
Yeah, you're here.
She's hooking my Zoom thing up.
So would the tractor be used for anything else besides just,
Well, it just utilize the brush hog. It's meant to pull a brush hog. You can't pull a brush hog with anything else but that tractor, and you can't mow some of these things without the brush hog. It just would tear the equipment up. It's not, the riding equipment is meant for mowing, but not for mowing this big stalks of weeds and grass that you would run over.
what? I
And
mean,
it's,
for
it's
mowing
used, it's used constantly. It's not just something we do use now and then. It's a regular used, routinely used, piece of equipment.
Even
Hey,
through the.
looky here, I'm back. I made it back. Change of venue. Yeah, I'd say I'd like to do more research on that one,
I agree.
just for a different brand, or just see what else is out there.
Sure. I'd be glad to do that.
Are we putting on replacing it or
Replacing.
Replacing.
but not so much as the brand?
We're questioning the brand. We do kind of believe that needs to be replaced, you know, I think.
I think it needs to be replaced.
So with research, it's gonna come back, it's gonna come back to you
It'll come
again.
back.
Yeah,
He's just gonna go back and do some more research on it, and then bring it back to you before you make a
Yeah.
decide on.
kind of like with the
you,
sidewalks.
Okay. All right, let's move on to street asphalt dump truck. Nicoletti, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, the dump truck, that's a Jeff one, I'm sorry. So
Yeah, it is.
FYI, Mike and Jeff have been kind of working hand in hand on some of the street stuff, so that's
Okay.
why Mike's here as well to give any input, but this one I think is just a Jeff project.
Yeah, we do need a bigger dump truck. The dump trucks we have now don't really serve the purpose they should if they're just too small to carry the loads. We're having to take more time removing the dirt that we're trying to get rid of and repair main breaks or something like that. We're having to use these smaller dump trucks and carry smaller loads. It just takes a lot of time to travel back and forth. So we've got one man that's traveling, another man that's waiting for him to come back. He's just putting one or two loads on. He's traveling where we can get a bigger dump truck and we can carry far more loads at a time. So we're really utilizing better time with a bigger size bed on a dump truck.
Do we need two?
It wouldn't hurt to have two. Water needs one. We need one. One would be great. We have two smaller ones. As I said, they don't provide the service that we really need for a dump truck with our type of work. It's too time consuming to run back and forth with that small dump trucks carrying small loads.
Yeah.
And there are times it's so small that we don't realize, when the guys don't realize how much you put on there, they can't dump the truck, and we have to end up getting the back of the truck and actually shoveling things off the back of the truck just so we can get the dump to raise up.
Does it take a special license to drive that truck?
No, not this one, and we don't have, not the one I'm looking at. No, it's not. I believe it's not big enough to have. It's just right under what's required to have a license for that. Commercial license.
That's a funny looking dump truck.
Yeah.
That's not a dump truck. That's a roller. I don't know who put that.
Wrong one, sorry.
That's the one I chase down my guys with, when they're not, out there working.
There it is.
Like Tony said, do we need two? Do we have one little one, one big one, or what?
Well, we've got a new one that's fairly new, and I think we've got another one coming in. It's kind of odd. Yeah, there it is. That would really do the job right there.
I would say that y'all can mark down two, but I can tell you that city council is gonna balk at you.
Yeah.
I think so.
I meant one old one, get one new one.
He asked for two.
And Jeff, talk about our current size dump trucks.
I think they're about 8-yard dump trucks. And as I said, they're fairly new dump trucks, but again, they don't carry the amount that we need to carry. They take more time to drive back and forth before we need to dump than they do actually providing the service we need. As I said, they just take time. We can't put as much in there. It takes time to carry this material. As you can see in the background, the material we need to carry at places where you can't carry as much. So we're running back and forth. We'll be with 1 or 2 drives instead of 6 different travels back and forth. We're using one or two travels back and forth to do the work that needs to be done.
That one there's not much more than a flatbed dump, really. I mean, that's not a dump truck. That's just a dually with a flat.
That's what they, yeah, it's just a regular truck with a flatbed on it that they,
that's not a dump truck.
Yeah, and it doesn't do.
So is that what y'all call a dump truck?
It does have a dump bed on the back.
Yeah, but is that what y'all are calling dump trucks?
That's what we have as a dump truck.
Oh, well then, yeah, y'all need a dump truck. That's not a dump truck. That's a flatbed that dumps.
Is that the lift up part? Is that something they had added on there?
Yeah, that's something they bought the truck, then had the back end added on later, or at the time they bought the truck. It does have, it is able to raise up and dump back, but again, you can only put a very little amount of dirt in it before it gets too heavy to raise up, because it doesn't have the kind of raising power.
How many yards will that carry?
I think it carries, I want to say 6 yards.
That's all. I'd be surprised if it carries 6.
No.
That'd be a lot.
I can add to this. The dump truck, where the real importance for the dump truck is for us is if we do purchase our own street equipment, we need a good sized dump truck to haul the materials needed to overlay the streets. And
yeah,
the truck that we have, obviously, Tony, you alluded to that's not a dump truck. We can't use that to haul the materials so that we can overlay the streets the way we need to. So
yeah, that's true. He's absolutely right about that. We do need something that carries asphalt. Asphalt's going to be a lot heavier than the dirt and the base that we haul around. So you're talking about a lot of weight.
And what I read, this dump truck here will hook up to the asphalt machine, correct?
yes.
Okay. Well, to me, it looks like you're going to have to decide on. See, to me, this is kind of like the streets. You got to look at the whole package, because if we don't do the other, we still need a good dump truck, but we don't need one this big. For the asphalt, this here will do the asphalt and the water department. But if we don't do the pavers and the rollers and get all the equipment you need for that, the front end loader and all that, you're kind of wasting your time with this. I mean, that's where I was having problems today. Was, to me, this is not just a one deal. It's like, are we going to commit and do this, or are we not going to commit and do it? I mean, that's what. I mean, all we got to do is just decide. The council's the one that's got to commit or not commit. I mean,
yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, when y'all prioritize this equipment, if we're going to take the streets seriously and overlay our own streets, we're going to need all of the equipment to do it properly. And
exactly.
it's really going to be a package deal. So, I mean, if y'all prioritize this stuff in such a way that the council also sees fit to and understands that we got to have all the equipment to do the job, then it's an all or nothing thing. I mean, we can't
Right.
piecemeal it. It's got to be all or nothing.
Yeah, it's like a plumber not having a pipe wrench. I mean,
Exactly.
you got to have you got to have everything, or you're not. If you don't have everything, you might as well not even take on the project. So that's kind of where I was getting kind of twisted around reading these deals. Is, to me, it's a whole package. Either we commit to the whole package or we don't commit to it.
So what's all included in the whole package for the dump truck, the loader, with all this big?
I think later on, when I make my capital improvement recommendations, you'll see all of the rest of the equipment. I think that we're going to need to overlay the streets.
Mike, do you want me to just include that, let you take that with you so you can present it all as a package? Or do you have that already planned?
I don't have my stuff with me, so.
you've got a skid steer that they'll need for digging up the street, which that's a definite there. And then you've got the roller to roll it after you get it laid. You've got the asphalt machine that lays the asphalt, and you've got a dump truck to bring the asphalt that hooks up
Right.
to the machine. And what they do is that hooks up to the machine, and as that asphalt machine is moving, so's that dump truck, and it's slowly raising its bed and feeding that asphalt into that machine so it lays
Right.
it down.
Right.
But you can't do any of this. You can't do anything if you don't have a skid steer. You can't do any of it if you don't have a dump truck. You can't do any of it if you don't have a roller. I mean, it takes this whole package to make it work. You can't do without any of them.
No, you're exactly right. And I think tonight Jeff's just presenting the dump truck part of it. The rest of the equipment, when I come before y'all with the projects that I submitted, we'll bring up the rest of the equipment so that y'all can make decisions accordingly.
Because this dump truck can be utilized in the water and streets. It doesn't have to be used in street alone. It can be used for both. So it can be used for both departments.
Well,
Can we change this from 2 to 1? Can we change it from 2 to 1?
Did he have 2 on here?
Yes. Yes.
Jeff, did you mean to put 2 dump trucks down?
No, sir. We don't want we don't need 2 dump trucks like that.
It says purchase 2.
Well, it said 2.
per truck.
It said
Yeah.
purchase 2, and that's why I was kind of,
Okay, well, we wouldn't need 2. We could use 1 for both the departments. I mean, they can use it. We can utilize it too.
yeah, that's,
I think we could use.
Then we could have 1 small one and one big one that way.
yeah, because I think they were like 100, yeah, they're like 180,000 a piece. Well, I definitely think we need 1. If that's our dump truck that you showed the picture of, we don't have a dump truck. We've got a flatbed.
Yeah, that's basically what we use for dump truck.
It's a dump bed. Yeah.
Take the word asphalt out of there.
All right, so what's the verdict?
So,
What ranking?
I said you.
I
I know
say
we
you
told us
also.
not about you, but that's what they saw. That was like some piece together that somebody in the. That's why I asked, was that a truck that they added something?
That kind of looks
know-
like my
you know
grandson's
what's up?
Lego truck.
You know what's something built in the backyard, do you?
Oh,
We cross the board, you? Okay.
Hey, when Joe Bob built that truck, it was nice.
All right, let's move on. The cat compact loader, is that Jeff or is that Nicoletti? The 2020 Holt Cat compact loader? The
So
skid steer?
we're all
Skid
you
steer.
on the dump truck?
I'm doing the skid steer. When-
you're doing the skid steer. He said I turned this in, but he had a whole package that he's turning in.
Okay,
Yeah.
We don't have to present this one because he's got it including his whole package.
all right, perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on past a few of these and we're gonna move back to
Trailer?
20-foot trailer.
Yeah. Well, the trailer would come if we're going to use the brush hog and the tractor, so we can carry it around, or in case we need to take it to have repairs. We'll have a trailer to haul it on, but we also need the trailer just if we need to call 2 of the riding mowers somewhere. We need to have those trailers for that too. That's something we've been needing for many years. Is a longer trailer.
Can you pull up that picture, Craig, of the trailer?
Yes, sir.
What do you say?
It's pulling up the trailer.
Yeah.
Picture of the trailer.
Oh, he's showing us the trailer.
That's perfect for pulling the tractor and the brush hog on right there.
Yeah,
You trying to see it closer, Tony?
if you don't mind.
Yeah, you would just say, let me figure out a different way to share this here.
See the trailer to me?
It's got a dovetail in the back, so make it easy to load.
Mm-hmm. You got the ramps. But if we, for any reason, we need to do repairs on it, we could haul it back and forth to whoever we're utilizing to get the tractor from. But we
Yeah.
also need it to drive around town, whether we don't want to drive that tractor with that brush hog in the back, bouncing back and forth down a public street.
No.
Drive around.
Well, and I'll be honest with you too, right now, currently, if they need that backhoe that we have anywhere, they have to drive it
Yeah.
to wherever it's needed. And that adds more
Yep.
hours wear and tear on the
It's not good
backhoe.
for the road either.
So if we have a.
Not to mention it's dangerous because it bounces.
Yeah, you're right.
If we have a main break in the middle of the afternoon on this side of town, they've got to drive it clear across town from our water, and they're driving it on the roadway. So there is a lot of equipment that would be hauled on this.
I think we should get it. Need it. I don't know.
It's needed.
Tony?
Well, I definitely, that's urgent. I mean, I think everybody needs a trailer. I've got 2 of them. I don't even do city work.
My husband have 1 or 2.
What do you guys think?
I say you. What do you say, Aura?
Oh, you.
You submit, huh?
Oh, you.
You? Okay.
So we can use
Trailers
that right
that
now.
has trailers.
Yes, we could use it right now. We do have equipment that could be hauled on it today.
Yeah.
All right. Mower equipment replacement. You guys can actually trash that one, I believe, right, Jeff? That one was already.
Yeah, yes, sir. We've got that covered already and proven.
Great.
We're using a lot of that now. Of course, not in the winter, but in the summertime, we used it this summer. And they're great mowers. They have cut down on time. They've cut down on wear of the men using them. They're fantastic mowers.
Okay.
What brand did you go with?
John Deere.
What brand did you go with?
Let me see. I'd have to check and see, Tony. I'm sorry. Can't remember.
Skag, I
offhand.
believe. Jeff, aren't they Skag?
That's it, Skags. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're Skag. I'm not feeling 100% myself tonight, so y'all have to forgive me.
They're Skag commercial mowers. The mowers they were utilizing before were residential mowers. These are Skag.
Yeah, these are commercial sized mowers. They're a lot stronger, a lot tougher. The blades are a lot better and heavier. We were replacing blades constantly on those residential mowers, along with belts and fans and everything else. So we were, again, those other mowers, we were just constantly having to do repairs on them daily on some of those. Every day we had to repair 1 or 2 of those of some type.
Yeah, tell them not to lower that roll bar.
Right.
Everybody wants to lay them back because they look cool.
Jeff, unless I'm missing anything other than the street paving equipment, I think that covers everything in streets, correct? Which
Yes,
Nick-
sir.
Big
Yes,
lady.
sir. Sure does.
Okay. One thing I wanted to share with you guys that I talked briefly about at the last meeting, and I put one on each one of your places, and Tony, I'll email this to you so you got it. This is our capital project tracking sheet. I wanted to highlight with you guys some of the stuff that's already in the works. I talked briefly about some of the projects that are already in the works for this coming year that are starting this year. This is that breakdown of what these projects are and what's happening. The 46th CDBG water line replacement and PWDB water line replacement. I'm waiting on the final maps on both of those, and I'll share with you guys exactly what water lines are being replaced in Everman. We have water lines that are on Christopher, Enon, water lines throughout Chambers Creek that are being replaced, and we have a new water well and water lines that are about to go in to accommodate the new development that's occurring off of Roy C. Brooks, which Nicoletti has been working hand in hand on for quite some time.
Where's this development you're saying?
Roy C. Brooks, there's a residential development that we're looking to come in off of Roy C. Brooks, south of Bell Street, north of Enon, and on this side.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Roughly 200 homes, I believe.
Across from Chambers Creek.
Yeah,
I think it's 205 homes.
205 homes.
Okay.
So we've got a new water well coming in to help accommodate that. That'll overall help our system entirely, our water system entirely with water pressure and volume. New water lines coming in. Fire station remodel has already been approved. That's a part of a bond package, as well as a city civic center or city hall annex rebuild. That's going to be directly across the street. They're going to mow down the current city hall annex and rebuild a new facility, 5,999 square feet to be exact, with concrete parking on both sides, access from Wichita and Ray Street. We're getting new new water storage tanks at the police department. Mr. Nicoletti has been working with the Economic Development Board on establishing an Everman Memorial Park, which will be at the northern tip of Pittman Park. He's working on that project now. This will be geared towards honoring members of the public service as well as veterans. And he's working on that design and layout there. We also just received information that we're going to be having conducted an Everman a transportation and flood study, which has been needed for quite some time. As y'all know, flooding has been an issue. I've mentioned that at our last meeting. That is being funded. Fort Worth is about to come in and do a sewer line replacement. That's going to be running from the northern part up here by Pittman Park down to Enon, and then all the way down Enon to Forest Hill Drive, and then back up north, kind of northeast from Forest Hill Drive across that area. And then the North Ray Street rebuild is a project that hasn't been quite approved yet, and Forest Hill Drive project hasn't quite been approved yet. But all together, I wanted to show you this because all together with all these different funding opportunities you can see on the right-hand side, none of this is being paid for out of general fund. All of this is being paid for from economic development funds, CO funds, grant funds, and other loans and projects from both within the city as well as outside the city. Altogether, $23 million are about to be invested. So when I talk about how the city of Everman has never had a better opportunity to reinvent itself than it does right now, I truly mean that. We have not seen this kind of money being spent inside of our city. And I don't know if we've ever seen this kind of money being spent at one time inside of our city. So we have a pretty unique opportunity here. And that's what we're trying to strive for to achieve is getting you guys on board and steering the city in the right direction. You got pretty good staff here between folks like Jeff and Mike that work nonstop on trying to find projects to overall improve the city and not serve just one justified need. So as we get a little further along, I wanted to make sure y'all were aware of that. Y'all can take that copy with you if you'd like.
Okay.
Tony, I'll make sure that you get a copy of that just so you're aware of what's happening this year. And we're looking to try to brighten the future up. As we continue to work on the project, when we get through the first round of all these, we'll come back to you and I'm going to ask you guys if there are any projects you feel we haven't addressed or any needs you feel like we haven't addressed and kind of what your overall vision is for the city after we've talked about all the projects that are brought before you. So even though we're bringing all these projects to you, I don't want you to feel like you don't have a voice, you can't raise a project, because once we're done bringing all of the stuff that the directors and folks have put together, then I want to get your input on what have we not addressed? Is there anything out there, any projects that you want to see done that we haven't brought before you? So kind of be thinking that as we're going through these projects and moving forward with the capital improvement plan on things that you want to see done if we haven't brought those up. Jeff, you got anything you want to add?
No, sir. I'm finished. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike, you got anything?
No, sir. I think we're good.
Donna? Y'all have any questions about anything?
Well, yeah. Are we not talking about the asphalt stuff?
Nicoletti's going to bring that up at the next meeting. He'll be the next one up. We're going to address all
Okay.
that with the economic development stuff that he's got in the parks and everything else.
Okay, sounds good to me.
So let's talk about next meeting. Next meeting is actually on Martin Luther King Day, and we didn't realize that until afterwards. That's a city holiday. Do you guys want to meet, or do you want to postpone that meeting? You want to bump it up a week, bump it back a week? We can do whatever you want to do.
I'm free anytime,
I'm free anytime. It doesn't on Mondays.
especially in the evening.
We could do it as early as, Mike, are you available next week, next Monday?
Yes.
We could
Next
do it-
Monday or the week after that, are you talking about?
We could do it next week, the 11th,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
if you guys would like. So there'll be a 1 week from tonight, if you all would like. Or we could push it back a week to the 25th and do it on the 25th of the month. What's better for you guys?
Next week will be fine with me.
I got one vote for next week. Tony?
Whatever. I'm good for whatever.
Will you be able to put Deb? I won't call you Deb. Brandon, I gotta check. Oh, she's checking, okay.
Either one would be good for me.
Okay, either one. So the 11th is good? Okay, we'll do it the 11th so we can keep on trucking. I'm gonna have printed all of Nicoletti's CIP submissions this week. So we'll probably get those out to you in the next day or so. We'll have somebody come by and deliver it to your house for you. If you're not there, no problem. We'll just leave it in your mailbox so you got it. And you guys can start reviewing those for next Monday.
All right, cool.
Other than that, I've got nothing else. I think we're done with the workshop portion. We can get out of here a little early.
Thank you, everyone. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, Jeff. Michael, thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
See you, Michael.
Judy, I'm still waiting on Judy to slap that gavel.
You did?
She did. Again, she did hear.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I can't hear either. I'm deaf.
She didn't hear you do the gavel.
She's got to do it harder. Well, I'll say I saw it. I didn't hear it. Do you mind holding it up by that microphone and doing it again? I'm just kidding. Y'all have a good week. I'll see y'all Monday.